Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. Now, there's a song saying that learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And with that, we are still in the 100 days of Christmas, but ever so much closer to the new year. We have resolutions and commitments and people saying, okay, we're going to do better, but we try to incorporate more self-care into our daily lives and to buy local and don't necessarily do that. But we're killing two birds with one stone, having a conversation with the creative director, the founder and CEO of Immortal Beauty Limited, Kathryn. It is time to go in depth with me, Dike Rostant, on Immortal Beauty Limited. Welcome, Kathryn. How are you doing?
I'm great. I've had a nice little rest over the holidays, so I'm having a good time.
Very happy to hear that, and all the best of the season to you. And I'm wondering, though, take me through what's going through your mind in 2010 or even before to make you conceive of Immortal Beauty Limited.
So in 2010, I was living and working in the US in a cosmetics laboratory, and I was extremely homesick. I wanted to come home more than I've wanted anything before or since. But with my experience in the cosmetic field, I wasn't really too sure what I could do, what jobs would be available. And I started thinking about starting my own product line as my vehicle to come home, but also because I thought that there was a need for a beautiful, elegant, locally homegrown cosmetic line.
And with that in mind, give us an overview of Immortal Beauty, no?
So Immortal Beauty is a line of little local luxuries. That's what we call them. They are bath and body products, candles, home fragrance products that are developed to package the Caribbean experience of beauty in an elegant, sophisticated way. So we call ourselves a little local luxury, as I said, because we try to maintain an international standard in our product quality and our packaging, but also a local sensibility.
And talking about that quality level being up to international standards, what are some of the challenges that you would have had penetrating the market? Because who's you? Where you come out?
Exactly.
So what was that like?
One of the biggest challenges, and it's a continuing ongoing challenge, is that the customer doesn't really consider local products to be on a comparable scale as international products. So sometimes when we would go and we would do our up markets and our little pop-up shops, people would pass us straight because they would think we were imported. They're like, I come here for local goods. And so it's not what they expected local goods to look like. And so that's something we're still fighting against. Like, no, local products can be beautiful products too. Like, this is what we want our local products to look like, and we want our local customers to expect from our local brands. So it was, in Trinidad, you have to do a lot of word of mouth first before you really get into the people wanting it on their own. So we had a good few years of that before we got to this point.
You think that was a backhanded compliment? People passing your street is almost as though that look too quote unquote international.
I mean, it's a compliment to me, but it's an insult to local brands all over the country. You know what I mean? Like I find, especially in the past few years, so many more brands are taking the effort, making the time to improve their packaging, their presentation, to make everything look so good. And so now we just need that communication to get to the customer for them to realize that, no, this is what local looks like in 2021.
And in terms of that, getting that word to the customer, what are some of those specific things that you can get at Immortal Beauty? Because I think you also carry some other lines. So if I say, I'm going to Immortal Beauty for this, take me through some of the product lineup.
So for our products, we have bath and body products. That's everything from shower gels to lotions, spray oils, body butters, body polishes or scrubs. We have foot products, and then we have our home fragrance, which is our candle line. So we have like 5 different fragrances of candles, and people love our candles. But also in our shop, you can find other great local brands that we stand behind as well. So we have brands like Rodco Home Essentials, which are great soaps in wonderful different flavors and mixes. We have infused Infused, Pure Therapy, which are great essential oil blends. We have Happy Curls, Happy Girls, which is a wonderful natural hairline. So we have a lot to choose from in a very cute little small space here.
No, you're saying that, and I'm very happy to know this now, because I've seen Rodco at a few pop-ups, but when you go to the pop-up and then you call and then you try to get on after, it's a bit of a pressure. So in terms of knowing that there's a brick and mortar that you can go to, it is something that I appreciate. And on that note, what was that process like, saying, okay, well, we're going to have a brick and mortar versus just having an online experience, or you call and your order is big enough, so we bring it to you? Take me through the process.
So it was a journey. It was a journey for sure. Like all small local brands, we started out doing the upmarkets, the pop-up shops, and very little online, actually, because the Caribbean customer likes to come into a place, they like to smell, they like to experience, they like the whole experience of it. And so the brick and mortar came about because I had sold my products in the Hotel Normandy for many years. And then we started having conversations about letting me have my own space that I can brand as an Immortelle space. And it was great for the customers to have like a touch point where they can experientially immerse themselves in the brand, not just, see it on a shelf. They can feel like this is an Immortelle space. We just moved from that original spot. We were there for 2 years, and we just moved from there to our own spot. The beauty of this spot is that I now have an office and storage attached to the shop. So this is now like my little work home. So as everybody else is working from home during the pandemic, I have done the opposite. I've taken all of my work out of the house, and now I have my own office along with the store.
And that could be a blessing as well, because when you start to work at home, everything is right there. And this is even outside of people saying, okay, well, you're working remotely, so we should be able to contact you anytime we feel like we want to send, and we see blue ticks, we're looking for an answer. But saying, okay, well, when I reach home, you're able to just do that.
I mean, we're talking about self-care, right? This has been my biggest self-care step, to separate my work and home this year. That has been the greatest self-care thing for me, to be able, just as you said, to be home and just have a domestic space. Because yes, you're absolutely right. People now, they know that this is your house. They know you're there. So I can't just come a little 10 o'clock. I have a gift to give and a birthday party tomorrow morning. I know it's 10 p.m. And you're like, no, you can't come. And then obviously too, it's a stock heavy business. We have packaging, we have labels, we have materials, we have, finished goods, and it was all over the house. So to be able to get that separation is a huge step for me.
And in the 2.5 minutes that we have on this side of the conversation, I wanted to ramage a little bit. I saw you say that healthcare is self-care. What did you mean by that? So
I personally believe that there's lots of different ways to provide self-care to yourself, and paying attention to your own personal health. It should be the foundation of it all. Going to get your regular checks, going to the dentist every 6 months. These things are the basis, the foundation of all of the things that come then for mental health and for, the massages. And the basis is how you feel inside your body day in, day out, so that you know what the baseline is, and so you know when there's something wrong.
And also, there's a quote: you will never regret making decisions that are true to yourself and speak to your values. Take me through that. Do everything your own way.
Yes. So that's something that's very true to me, because it's something that I've had to learn, especially, I wouldn't say growing up. That would be a stretch, but social media starts to make you feel like you are always under observation. So you start to care about the validation of others more than you should, the likes and especially when you become the face of a business, that is multiplied many-fold. And I had to do some work this year on myself to separate those two things and to connect back to what my needs were and to what I want and to what is true to myself. When I started, redirecting and making my decisions based on those things, I didn't have to question. I didn't need the likes and I didn't need the validation from outside sources, because I had connected to what was true to me. And I feel like anybody can do that, no matter if they work for themselves, if they're an entrepreneur, if they work in regular corporate life. That is a great way to find a path.
And looking at that intrinsic validation versus the external one. So it's a lot more fulfilling as opposed to you get a little piece and then run out, and almost like the carrot and the stick kind of business.
It's not chasing it, and you're never satisfied.
And we will never be satisfied, but I will say that we need to take a short break. We are speaking with the founder and creative director, CEO of Immortal Beauty Limited, Kathryn Nurse. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with the founder and creative director, the CEO of Immortal Beauty, Kathryn Nurse. We are going in depth on what Immortal Beauty is about. And Kathryn, there's something that you mentioned in terms of like the inspiration behind Immortal Beauty, trying to develop a game plan to get back home, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, I'll reach home and something will happen, as opposed to building your bridge. What answer the person who's saying that, who's thinking about the career options, who says, if I do chemistry or chemistry related subjects, all I'm going to do is end up in a lab testing people's blood sugar?
I mean, testing blood sugar is not so bad. but I would say to be open-minded about any career that you're going into. There's so many areas, particularly in the sciences. There's so many areas of application of science that we don't teach students when they are studying it, for CXC or for their exams. There's so many ways to apply science into everyday products. So I say, cosmetics is where I found myself, but my interns who work with me, one of them is studying pharmacy and another is has a degree in food science and dietetics. And so there are so many areas of application once you can keep an open mind and stop and not only think about the blood pressure testing.
I said that being facetious, but at the same time, sometimes you throw a little full toss so the ball get lag out of the park. And that also begs the question. You spoke about pharmacology and food science, and I saw a line recently where there's so many things that the person has done, but the basis of that line is breadfruit. So they found some ingredients, some components within the breadfruit, and they're building out. So, and that also begs the question, the role of market research, because you would have done research to return to Trinidad and Tobago. You're here in Trinidad and Tobago now. What role does market research play in the products that you decide, okay, well, I'm going to formulate a new one. I'm going to do something else?
That's a really good question. So actually, there was not a lot of market research. We tried. There was not a lot of market research in our area when I started the business. And so we've had to learn a lot through trial and error. But thankfully, again, social media, as much as it sometimes stresses me out, it can be a useful tool for market research. You get to speak to your customers very directly, and they will tell you what they want to make. They will tell you what they want to see. Why you don't do a men's line? Why you don't do this? Why you don't do that? Of course, it's not that easy. You have to then develop the pros and cons. For example, I would say a men's line. People have asked me to do that for several years now, but the niche is already small. So a niche within a niche is not going to be economically viable for me where I am right now. But I keep all of that information. I keep all of those suggestions so that I know what people are looking for. And then I look at the market. I look at how things are selling internationally, regionally, to see what the potential would be for me. And
where do you draw the line in terms of saying, okay, well, drunk or sober, mind your business, this wouldn't make sense for me at this point in time, versus I want to do it because, but in terms of moving from Immortal Beauty being your baby and wanting to do everything, sometimes possibly having to do everything, to growing the product and starting to delegate responsibilities, what has that been like for you?
That's where I am right now. I've told a lot of people in the past few weeks that in my dreams of entrepreneurship, I never factored in other humans and having to manage staff, which is not something that I ever did in my own work journey. So this is a completely new area for me because the business is growing and there is now more than I can handle on my own. So that is actually very, very pressing. And it's one of my goals for 2022. So the first thing is I have to get to the acceptance point that this is going to be part of the future, but then trying to be very intentional about the type of culture that I create for my business and how I deal with staff.
And I'm saying congratulations. That's big ashay in terms of like moving forward, saying, well, it's happening, so it's growing. So things need to happen in terms of, yeah. And sometimes I guess you can see it. You can see you have this drive, and then somebody else will like, okay, well, they don't have that fire that you do. But it's something definitely, it's a good problem to have at this point in time.
That's what my business coach says. She says exactly the same thing. She's like, these are the good problems.
But you said that fans and clients are vociferous. They say, we want to see this. Why don't you do this? For people who may be thinking about transitioning, what are some of those steps? What's some of the advice that you would give individuals to say, okay, well, you may want to try this or you may want to do this. These are some of these steps to make the switch over to Immortal Beauty.
So in terms of what products would I suggest to introduce people to the brand like that?
Yes, thanks.
So we know I'm very familiar with my best-selling products and my best-selling fragrances. We have a huge line of fragrances now. So I always reach for those first. I'm like, these are crowd pleasers. It's a great place to start. Our best-selling products are definitely our moisturizers. And it's something that people can incorporate into an everyday routine, as opposed to something that you might use once a week. So once you get something in their hands that they could use every single day, that's when they start coming back for the little treatment products or scrub that they could use every few days. But you have to get something that becomes an essential to them. And that's actually the name of our line of bath and body products, the essentials.
And is it a matter of, okay, well, I'm taking a little piece and I'm putting it in a corner that nobody might see in case I start to grow tentacles? Or
It used to be like that. I remember, 6 years in, people would be like, remember those things you give me? I put them up. Up to now, I don't know where up is. But I put them up and I never use it because it's nice. And I'm like, no, please use the products. Use them. I want people to tell me that they put so much body butter on, or that they use 3 in a month or something like that. That's what I like. Not little bits and pieces.
And what about the persons with sensitive skin? So in terms of say, I'm not sure, because my skin's sensitive, is only this size or that size.
I'm extremely transparent about our products. I don't want people to. I'm very confident in the quality of the product, but I don't want to sell people and they get a reaction. So what people are very sensitive to in products tends to be fragrance, and so I'm very honest that my products contain a lot of fragrance. So what I will often do with people with sensitive skin, I will give them a little sample. I'll be like, hey, I don't want you to spend your money and then waste it. So take a little sample. This is our mildest fragrance. Let's take a little sample, try it for a few days, and then see how you like it, see if there's any reaction, and then anything, you come back. And a lot of the times they come back and they say that they didn't have an issue.
Hey, but with all of that, how do people contact Immortal Beauty?
Oh, so you could contact us several ways. We have social media. We have Facebook, Immortal Beauty on Facebook. We have Instagram, Immortal Beauty on Instagram. We also have Twitter and our new favorite, TikTok. Check us there, Immortal Beauty.
One of the things I really like about some of the videos or content that I've seen you put out is that you bring persons along. This is my sister friend. This is somebody who's going through the same beauty journey. These are their products. These are why they complement what it is we're doing. How important is that to you?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's important for me to bring along people, and it's important for people to bring us along. So we love to use, content creators who have already established trust with their own followings to talk about Immortelle, as opposed to just hearing it from me. Obviously, I want to sell it to you, but these are people who can vouch for us and say, no, these are the real deal. This is what you need. And they talk to you literally, as you said, like a sister or like a friend who's in the know. You know that one friend who always have everything first? Like that's who we try to get to introduce Immortelle to others.
And just before we leave, there's someone who said that, okay, I don't have the nicest bathroom space right about now. That doesn't mean I can't jazz it up. And what they were using to do that was an Immortelle candle. And the vibe of the video, I felt like I was smelling it through the screen. And definitely we want to thank you for making the time. More power to you. All the best for 2022 as you enlarge your territory. We decree and declare that. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you for joining us.